Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Dozier.
I think, Jay, if you don't mind for just half a second, I just want to thank Laura Rogers for your dedication to Best and Brightest. We talked about this the other day at our community council at WFSU. You were telling me how alumni recognize you and just celebrate the program years after being a participant. This is huge for the students, and thank you for your efforts. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Commissioner Dozier. I was about to do the same thing. Laura and her team, with her today as an intern, Emma Cyphers, the two of them have done an amazing job, and it all comes to a celebration here this week. So thank you very much to the two of them. They've done an amazing job working with all of our school system to recognize those students. So thank you again. Well, good evening again, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Administrator. Thank you for your time today. I'm Jay Smith. I'm Chairman of the Greater Tallassee Chamber of Commerce, and with me also is our President, Sue Dick, who's served this community for over 20 years in this role. So we want to come here today to really just provide an update, talk to you all about what's going on in this community, all the amazing things that we're doing together. As you all know, some 14 months ago, we all were hit upside the head with a pandemic that none of us could ever anticipate. So you as a county commission and us as businesses all really had to take a look at ourselves and really determine what was most important and what we needed to focus on. So from that, we kind of had already started taking a look at what best practices county chambers were doing around the country. And this really added a focus to what we needed to look at. So we kind of retooled our mission and our vision. Our mission is to lead and promote the success of business, driving a higher quality of life for our community. That's something that we all can stand behind and push forward. And then our vision of a diverse and strong regional economy where businesses succeed and the community prospers. So those kind of gave us a real, light to where we needed to be shooting for. And then we really started looking at some of our strategic priorities and really where we wanted to focus our areas on talent, on economic competitiveness, and then community and prosperity, which is a newer focus for the chamber, and allowed us really to start looking at what we wanted to do. And for me, in this first year of my chairmanship, and then going forward, and we really started looking at what we wanted to focus on as a community scorecard. So this information is information that is readily available, that OEV is a major contributor to this information, DEO and the Florida Chamber, but we wanted to really call out specific information that all of us can focus on a community basis. Every single one of us can rally behind these 12 key metrics as we push forward. This is something that we're working on a monthly basis with the Capital City Chamber and the Big Bend Minority Chamber. We're also working with NEBA on some of these priorities. So again, it's trying to break down those silos and really start together and work to. So this is something that we've met on a regular basis with Vince and Reese and Superintendent Hannah, pulling us all together and let us really start focusing on these areas. So the top line is business centric and jobs based, which is something, again, we all can rally behind, with a focus on private job growth. We all know coming out of this pandemic, this is something that we're all striving to do, is put people back to work, and also a focus on minority businesses, the number of businesses we're creating. So that's another big key focus that we are working closely with Mr. Jones on, and making sure we're supporting him and promoting the businesses getting certified and getting the opportunities in our project sector. The next line is education. We all know it all starts at the education level, and the earliest signs for us to be able to be focusing on as a community is the kindergarten readiness score. And of course, the CSE passage really is going to drive this number. But again, it's something that as businesses, we really wanted to start to really engage and play a vital role in driving that kindergarten readiness. So when they show up to school system, they're prepared just like every other student. So we're at 62% right now. this is something that we all need to strive to 100% attainment in our community. And one of those things is something we're going to roll out on June 1st that we're very proud of. We're looking to adopt every single kindergarten in Leon County school system by a business. And what does an adoption mean? It's time and it's resources, but most importantly, it's engaging with that principal or that teacher in each one of those classrooms and making sure you're developing a personal relationship, and we're focusing on those students and giving them the attention needed. And then you follow through, of course, with third grade reading scores, the high school graduation rate, and something that we all need to focus on as the jobs are evolving in our community is the post-secondary attainment rate. This is something the governor's focused on, and it's something that we're pushing pushing on with both Lively and TCC. Is what are we doing to develop trades and knowledge so that our community can be not only getting a job, but a job that allows them to develop a wage that promotes their family and allows them to sustain. And then the final line is on that community and prosperity line, making sure that our community has the livability for every single one of our individuals in our community based on poverty rate, the crime rate, and then the GDP of our community, which is something that we should be very proud of and we should be celebrating, is the fact that over $16 billion of GDP is created from our community. So this is something, again, we want to communicate on a monthly basis, and we plan on coming back to you all on a monthly basis to kind of update us and all of us to focus on moving these numbers. So a few other things I wanted to focus on to update you all on the talent workforce education standpoint. The Chamber worked through the grant from OEV on creating a new talent hub portal. This portal allows businesses to load in the opportunities that each one of them have, but it also allows people in our community to a place to post their readiness for jobs if they're looking for a job. And then it connects a number of not-for-profits that are supporting the job basis of workforce development, on training and on education. And it's connecting all of those dots, which in the past, there's been several great programs, but not everybody, not even the businesses, know all of the programs are out there. So we're connecting all of those groups together. A great prime example is a project that I'm personally involved in my company, where, as you all know, we've been selected to build the new Tallassy Police Department headquarters. So from that project specifically, my subcontractors are loading in all of their opportunities, and we're connecting all of those employment, and then we're giving them not only a job, but we're connecting them with Career Source and with Tempo, and we're connecting them with Lively and TCC to give them the training necessary so it's not just a job, it's a career. And our industry specifically needs that technical training, because we have a real deficit in our industry for the trades and our workforce. So this is something that's really important. That's a great example. In addition, we recently worked Access Tallahassee, which is our younger group inside of the Chamber, has worked closely to work with the graduating seniors to complete their FAFSA, the free application for student financial aid. The goal is to increase completion rates by 5% in Leon, McCullough, and Gaston County. May 17th, one of 3 virtual sessions to walk students and parents through step-by-step process, where we're going to have financial aid experts from FSU, FAMU, and TCC online to answer questions. So again, if you can visit talchamber.com to get more information there. Next, on economic competitiveness and business climate. So a number of you have been engaged with us. Commissioner Minor, Chairman Minor, you sat in with the Business Advocacy Committee last week. Thank you very much for your engagement there. We continue to work together to look at the job creation and creating more jobs. Next, I wanted to recognize all of the work, the IA, you all specifically, what you're doing there, on the importance of the blueprint projects and the economic significance of key projects in our community and the jobs they're creating. So the infrastructure work you're doing today, we're just seen a lot of the benefits of Blueprint 2000, sorry. All of that work at Cascades is a great example of what we've done as a community. So what you're doing with the next round of Blueprint 2020, we're going to see the benefits of for years to come. So thank you for all of your hard work and dedication there. Another key component is what OEV has been doing with supporting existing businesses and then driving new business to our community. So thank you. We're working closely with OEV on a regular basis on updates and our support there. And finally, as we talked about community and prosperity, what we're doing there with the Best and Brightest Awards, again, as we recognize tonight, we got over $55,000 awarded to our youth. Specifically, thanks to Sachs Media and Envision Credit Union, the Tallassy Democrat, for their support. Access Tallahassee has created the Chamber's has created a little libraries and communities across. So they're building and putting up small libraries in walkable areas of our community. They're being supported. So they're really engaging in areas and making an impact, starting at that younger age group. And finally is our launching of Prosperity Leon with the goal of lowering the poverty rate. So this is something we're engaging with several different entities, again, that have all been kind of working in different silos. We're trying to bring everybody together to really push the Prosperity Leon forward. So thank you for your time. Thank you again for all of your leadership. You guys are worked very hard through this world, and glad to see all of you in person. The Zoom does not do it like when we all can meet face to face and get the work done. So any questions? Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. I've got a couple commissioners that would like to speak. I've got Commissioner Cummings and then Commissioner Welch. Commissioner Cummings?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say briefly, I certainly appreciate President Smith, Executive Director Sue Dick, and all of the hard work that you guys have done. I am very impressed with the community scorecard. And while I appreciate your holistic approach to the community, I'm especially concerned with the educational aspect. Being the Commission's representative on the Children's Services Council, I certainly appreciate the kindergarten readiness aspect on the community scorecard, which also follows our children all the way through post-secondary. So I just want to commend you all for all your hard work. Not that I'm excluding the workforce development or the employment aspect of it, but I'm certainly gratified and encouraged by the monthly scorecard that you guys will be keeping, and hopefully the Children's Services Council can fill some of those gaps as it relates to the readiness of our kindergarten children. So thank you again. I appreciate
Yes, ma'am. The kindergarten readiness is kind of like the Blueprint 2020 infrastructure we're putting in place. We're gonna see the impacts of that down the line. So it's thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Cummings. I've got Commissioner Welch and then Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jay, thank you for the presentation. Sue, thank you all for being here. I just want to brag on you for a second. I think the kindergarten thing, to echo Commissioner Cummings, is a tremendous effort. I think that's awesome that we're going to get the business community to sponsor every kindergarten class. I think as somebody who knows a lot of kindergarten teachers, big time important that we have those kind of synergies and that kind of support from the business community. And then secondly, I'm gonna brag real quick on Corey Melton, okay? Because at Childs, I've coordinated a business advisory council for a couple years, and we've worked real closely with Corey. We wanna connect our students specifically at Childs to the workforce development things and jobs available in the community. We always have a hard time finding placements for our students for externships and things like that. I have seen the Talent Hub presentation a couple times, and Corey does a great job with that, and that is a phenomenal tool. If you guys have not seen it, All of our students at Childs have access to it via our ClassLink system where all their grade books and all their different tools are. It's really cool. I mean, it is a really cool thing. You want to talk about a one-stop shop, a sort of aggregator of a lot of valuable information for a teenager or an adult who's looking for a job placement in coordination with the chamber. So I think that's a great tool. I want to commend you guys on it and all of your work as it relates to the scorecard and trying to move us forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. I've got Commissioner Jackson and then Commissioner Dozier. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I would just say ditto to capture their remarks. But as you look at the boxes, I encourage folks to realize that the way you move the needle in that lower left-hand corner, the Leon County poverty rate, is everything about the middle row there. When we talk about kindergarten readiness, when we talk about third grade proficiency, kindergarten readiness will lead to higher levels of third grade proficiency. And hopefully you, through generation, will lower that poverty rate. I say this, serving a school community where 49.6% of the students that come to us each day are from a home that is living in poverty. That's 1 out of every 2. If you want to make a difference in our crime index, in the property crimes, violent crimes, all of those things that are on that bottom row, then you have to start very early and even before kindergarten, as Commissioner Cummings talked about, and also as we're focusing with the efforts of the CSC. But thanks so much for the report, and I'm glad to see that that's a really telling report when you can relate those boxes from one to another. So thanks.
Yes, sir. When we started developing it, Commissioner, it started with three different pages, and so there's so many numbers, but we focused on. I mean, they're all so interconnected with one another that you can't pull them apart. They all stand. They're all intertwined, and so it's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Dozier and then Vice Chair Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the report, Jay. It is very interesting, although I am regretting leaving my glasses in the back. So I'm just going to admit that publicly here. If you could send us, yes, I saw you. So I knew you would understand. I'd love to see this. I'm sure you're going to send it out to us. And if it's a monthly report, that is fantastic. Did take note of the phrase that we've talked about for years and years, breaking down the silos. But I'm not sure I've ever heard the top line of a report say you're working with the other 2 chambers. And I just want to compliment Tallassy Chamber for that. And thank you, Sue, for your leadership in this. I really appreciate the involvement of all 3 chambers, particularly in the last year, and the partnership with OEV during this year, but beyond that as well. So thank you for that. I concur with all the comments about education and your focus on young folks. I love the kindergarten classroom. I might have gotten a little tip about that last week, but I kept my mouth shut until the announcement. So I love that. But on the training programs particularly, because you have the Talent Hub, you are engaged directly, obviously, with businesses. And I'm going to focus on construction because that's what you know and you highlighted. I think based on what I hear when I talk to businesses, there is a role for a place to get some good feedback about those training programs. Are they applicable to what the businesses are looking for? The apprenticeship question, I know the state's working on that. The governor's talked about that. But I guess I'm curious if you are digging in a little bit more, you're connecting people, but are you going to use this to kind of draw out some of that feedback that may help us, may help others who are providing that training going forward?
So the thought is there's several grants that businesses aren't aware of that support when they hire somebody that can be trained, and they actually will pay for several weeks of their employment up front. So it's allowing them to take chances. So we have instituted on specifically the TPD project, we are striving for a 10% workforce that comes from some type of government assistance program. So connecting with the Housing Authority, connecting with the Sheriff's All-In program, bringing people back into the employment that typically aren't hired, but we're working with the police chief on who can work on that site. So we're giving people second chances. And then at the same time, focusing on an externship program. So we're setting up a specific office on the site that is allowing us to bring in speakers to talk about the training opportunities, to connect them with Tempo, for the opportunities to go back and get their GED. I mean, engaging all of these different programs that allows them then to go get the training. So again, foolishly for me, I was unaware that TCC was having the commercial driving program. And so again, it's breaking down those silos and communicating that information. We all get stuck in our, in our lane, and we run as fast as we can, as hard as we can, and we're trying to do everything we're doing right. But there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help you and make you more efficient. And so those are the type of things we're just trying to, as I indicated in another one of these, that if I did anything this in my year of chairmanship, is to eliminate as many silos as possible. So yes, we can communicate, and if we impact 20 people's lives from that project specifically, that's 20 successes that we need to celebrate as a community and continue on and do it in the next projects. But it starts with the first one, and then we'll build from there.
I appreciate that, and you can't do everything at once. You have to start and see how the program's developed, and you're right. I mean, everyone's moving so fast, we may miss an announcement about one more training program. So I think that is really helpful. I think just in our economic development conversation, talent training programs come up all the time. So I think the Chamber is a perfect vehicle to give us some feedback on if you see a gap in the training. If you can't find a program or something else like that, we're working with all the same partners. So I appreciate that line of communication and just look forward to seeing what you all do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Dozier. Vice Chair Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Smith, to the Tallassy Chamber, your presence today and the service and work that you do across our community. I recognize and heard the jobs component, and I believe you do a good job with the summer program. And last year we suspended the program, which we have done here at the county for a number of years due to COVID. And as the emphases for children coming out and lining up with a job, but I fundamentally believe if we ask your indulgence of something more fundamental, and that is a basic business literacy, the kind of stuff that many kids who are in that 20.5, that bottom corner that Commissioner Jackson lifted up, how many kids know what a buyout means? What is a merger? What is a stock? What is Dow Jones? What is the business index? These are fundamental American life principles which are so sacred. They're just like the Bible, not included in the curriculum of public learning. And it's difficult to think that in the midst of two schools, business schools here, great chambers here, but our children are as segregated in learning about the fundamental, just the language stuff of business as they are familiar with speaking Russian in public schools. It's just not there. Is there any way that we could get past this sacred divide? And if your homes and your home life does not expose and equip, and it's in America, it's the sacred domain of the home to teach and expose children to business. For those homes that are unaware, and civics is falling quickly in that same category. And my wish and hope is that, and I would love to see, and I'm willing to roll up my sleeves to work at, a 101 curriculum. Because when you bring, and they used to take us children out to the airport and show us the airplane and the cockpit and all of that. when we had to go out there on the field day. But we had nothing as a precursor to arriving there to look in the cockpit and what a flight is and aeronautical sciences and all of that. And I would just ask that it would be a benefit if our children knew what a corporation is, what an LLC is, what agency means, and we just don't have that. And if we could do something radical, like introduce a curricula of, it's not vocational, it's just business. There are kids that don't know what a credit card is, a credit score, a beacon score. They don't know. How to buy a car. That's the stuff. And I would hope that this commission even would be so committed to the development of our next generation as for them to understand more of the basics. I would be one commissioner be willing to put money for a curricular integration with our public schools. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Proctor. Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel remiss if I didn't have anything to say. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much for your leadership, Chairman Smith. I think the things you brought to the table today, and especially as Commissioner Dozier said, the thought of continuity and working together amongst the three chambers is huge. Something that frankly, I think will benefit this community in a huge way. As you all know, my biggest concern is the MWBE piece of it, and I see we're moving in the right direction there. You spoke a lot about the trades. You said you guys were adopting schools, schools and classrooms, which is actually absolutely awesome. Somewhere around probably my generation, I'm thinking there was this movement for us to move past the trades and past community colleges and going straight to college and getting into a suit and working in that manner. That perception still exists amongst the children that we have in school today. And no matter how much we as parents and adults say to them, there's opportunities out there in the trades, they're not quite ready to receive and accept the fact that that's there. Two things that I would ask you guys to move in the direction of. One would be, as you adopt those classrooms and talk to those kids, expose those older children to folks that may be a part of the chamber who are in the trades, to explain to them what that lifestyle is like, what it yields, the type of lifestyle that they can attain from it, and what it takes to get there. What they'll find is it's a much shorter timeline to get to be an entrepreneur or a good paying job as a welder than it is sitting as a CEO of a construction company. And so it's just the mere exposure to those things that will move those children in that direction. The other piece of it is, and this is me putting on my chief elected officer of CareerSource, is there some kind of way the chambers can start to work with CareerSource to create more opportunities for apprenticeship? There's money out there, as you all know, for that CareerSource has that can pay those kids, those adults and children to get involved in apprenticeships. But what Jim has told me is that oftentimes it's hard to find businesses that will invest the time, because it does take time to get those kids and adults involved in the apprenticeship and that kind of thing. And so as we move forward, those are the two things I ask that you will focus on. I like the direction you're moving in. I'm absolutely excited about what you're doing, and good to see you standing before us and having this conversation with us. I believe in your leadership. I believe in your board, and I believe in those other chambers and what you guys are going to do together and moving our business community in the right direction. Thank you.
Commissioner. CareerSource is one of the entities that I was speaking about but didn't call out specifically, and what they do for training, and they have the grant to be able to pay for that individual's salary for, I think it's up to 320 hours, I believe is correct. So that is giving people the incentive to work with CareerSource and take a chance on that individual, and it's tremendous. And I was unaware of it, and I feel like I'm pretty connected and trying to engage with a number of entities, and I was unaware of what CareerSource could do And so it's exposing all of the subcontractors on those projects, and it just grows. It's one at a time. But I completely agree. If every kid coming out of high school could have a skill, regardless if they're going to Harvard or Florida State or not, that skill will stay with them the rest of their life and always have something to fall back on.
Right. I'll say one last thing. When I was in high school, we had a program where they were teaching Oracle. This is back in the 90s. And I actually got the certification, never used it, but I did get the certification. And I know it's going to take time investing into those children. And you don't know if at the end of that 320 hours, if they end up going anywhere or not. But what we do know is that they'll be able to use what they learn into attaining a career. And it may not yield best for the business, but it'll yield best for the community, no matter what they end up doing. So thank you so much for moving in that direction. I appreciate your leadership.
And Commissioner Proctor, I agree with you as well. We're starting with the kindergarten, that engagement with the students to at least start a dialogue, let them see businesses care, let them see the businesses, and hopefully make a little bit of an impression for them there. But we need to continue on. I don't disagree with you, but our hope is that is the first start, and then of course jobs, providing more job opportunities. I think those are the two big dynamics. But I agree with you. We need, even all middle school and high school students need more of a focus on basics of what this country is founded upon and what makes it so dynamic.
Amen. Thank you.
Chairman Smith, thank you so much for coming today and presenting this. President Dick, thank you very much for your leadership as well. And Director Rogers, thank you for everything that you're doing at the Chamber and with the Best and Brightest Awards. Very grateful to all of your work as well. I'm not going to reiterate what other people have said. I'm going to try to pare it down, but I really want to thank you and your leadership in the Chamber for putting together the scorecard. It as you said, it forces us to kind of take away some of the silos. Because you can see the scoreboard and see how interconnected scorecard and see how interconnected everything is. And start to think about what we can do as a community, not just one chamber, not just the three chambers, but all of us as a community to help improve some of these numbers. You and I have talked about the importance of improving the job market. And the job market, improving, when you say that, that means different things to different people. And it can mean multiple things at the same time to somebody. So, I mean, it could mean cultivating a magnetics industry cluster, in and around Innovation Park. But it also can mean, importantly, what can we do to reduce the income inequality that we have, the equity gap that exists, that's very real and very serious in this county. So I want to thank you for the scorecard and for the discussion that you're having with the other chambers and other partners to truly make this a community-wide effort, because your goals are also very commendable and laudable. I mean, getting poverty down to under 10% by 2030, reducing crime rates to rank as the lowest 10 in Florida. I mean, those are very ambitious goals, and we need to be working toward those. And the best way to do that is community-wide by taking down these silos. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.